Week 10 in the books. 4 games left of the regular season. Where does the time go? The playoff picture starting to take shape. Last place picture starting to take shape. We'll get into it like we always do. First, our predictions, 2 and 3. Not a great week for me. Got my game right. That is the yearly sweep on Derek. That's done. Thanks, Derek. Caleb over Ford. Everyone else got your games wrong. I went against my better judgment, and I picked Rory because he wanted me to pick him, and he was loser of the week. So that's tough for Najee Nation for sure. We'll get into it like we always do, but you can see here how I did with I'm 4 and 6 for about half of you guys, 6 and 4 for the other half, and then 7, 3, and 5 and 5 for 2 of you. So is what it is. We're above 500. We look to move on. Standings. It's shaping up. Obviously, congrats to Steele. We're 10 weeks in, 9 wins. You've clinched a playoff spot already. Many congratulations. The playoff picture, like I said, started to take shape. We got 4 teams at 3 and 7, all fighting for last place. I'll go reverse order. We got Ford, Chase, Sam, and Caleb. And then Derek at 4 and 6 for that last playoff spot. And then there's a 2-game gap with between Derek and Rory and myself at 5 and 4, and then we have 2 teams at the 6, 3, and 1 with Chris and Ben, and then Steele has a 2.5 game lead on everyone else. Steele's running away with it. I think if he wins 1 or 2 more games, he's clinched first place. And he's going to clinch first place before week 14. So it is what it is. I'm sure he's looking to make some trades for his playoff schedule at this point, but it's well deserved. I will say for the points for, Steele is in first with 1564, and second is actually Caleb at 1410, and then another jump into the 1300s, and then Ford is in dead last at 1100. So Steele has scored 1564, Ford scored 1110. So that's a pretty stark difference in those 2 points for on the year. But let's get into the matchups, shall we, fellas? Our first matchup was Ben and Rory. Ben comes away 130-109 with a victory here. And this is after Rory complained that I was being mean to his team and I wasn't picking him enough. He started off 5-0. He's 1-4 in his last 5. I think I wasn't mean enough looking at this score right here. He comes up to me, he says, Levin, man, I got 4 wide receiver 1s on my team, bro. You're not respecting Najee Nation. Zay Flowers with 12, fine. Cortland Sutton with 5. Michael Pittman with 3. What are we doing? Dalton Kincaid gets hurt. I tell Rory, I say, hey, you probably need a tight end. I got 2 of them. He goes, I got 2 beasts at tight end. Yeah, buddy, they combined for 7 points. What are we talking about? Josh Allen, mid, not even the best QB in the AFC East. Handily defeated by the Miami Dolphins. 17-point loss in Miami. Just atrocious. Saquon's also mid, 13 points. He's had 1 good game all year. RB11. He was one of the first running backs drafted. Egbuka's good. I'll give you that one, Rory. Egbuka's very solid, 23 points. The Broncos D was solid as well with 16. And then your kicker, nice little zero burger. How's that even happen? Yeah, he missed a field goal. That's what it was. Honestly, I didn't stay up to watch the game. After I lost my other league on that Devontae Smith catch, I went to bed. Yeah, tough one for Rory. Loser of the week. He owes me a video. Ben, 130 points. Who got it done for him? Just solid across the board, honestly. We had Olave with 21, Waddle with 19, Amon-Ra with 16, ETN with 15, Josh Jacobs with 19, Herbert with 14, and then a little bit of a fall off. Goddard with 8, Jags events with 8, Romeo Dubes very disappointing with 1 point, Cairo Santos with 5 points. So he left some points on the bench. Juwan Johnson with 19, Goddard only got 8. Rashad White could have started him over Romeo Dubes, but a win's a win, and you're not going to be complaining about a win. I know this was a pretty low-scoring matchup. We had some teams get pretty unlucky this week, and by some teams I mean Sam, who was 3rd in points scored this week, but still came away with an L, or 4th in points scored this week, still came away with an L, but a win's a win. We're not complaining about it. Ben, 6-3-1, 2nd place. He's in the bye right now. Najee Nation, 1-4 in his last 5, drops to 5th place. Matchup 2. Steele and Sam, this is a tough one for Sam, 151-138. Steele comes away with the win. 2nd highest scorer on the week. Sam, 4th highest scorer on the week, comes up empty. What happened? It basically was Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor with 50 points. That's a third of Steele's points. JSN was solid with 20, but honestly, the Seahawks were up by so much, I don't even think he touched the field in the second half. They were up, I felt like they were up by 300 that whole game. Puka was 17. He was just okay. JJ has not been great, honestly, with new JJ back there, or 9, as he likes to say, because he is horrible. Bijan with 10 has been pretty meh. Slayton was a good play with 12. Packers, he was 7. Matt Prater with 1. So he left some points on the bench. Matt Stafford with 26. Lamar with 16. Tyler Algier with 17. Could have played him over Darius Slayton, over Bijan, even so, if you want to get technical, but obviously you wouldn't do that. Yeah, solid win for Steele. Really was just a JT show. Sam, unfortunate. This was on Rashid's bye. I think if Rashid doesn't have his bye, obviously he doesn't have to play Christian Watson, who only gets 6 points. This is a different conversation we're having, but that's not the case. Jackson Dart with 26 did have to leave early with concussion. That did get Brian Dable fired, which that was just waiting to happen. As soon as Jackson Dart got hurt, Brian Dable was going to be out of there. CMC was 17, Riverdale with 15. Alec Pierce looked very good in Atlanta, or in the Germany game against Atlanta. 18 points. Tez Johnson, I shouldn't have dropped him. Sam, that was a good pickup. 20 points. 2 touchdowns against my Patriots. I think it was 2 touchdowns. Yep, 2 touchdowns against my Patriots. Devontae with 19, and then the rest of his team kind of disappointed. Young Hui with 7. Sam gets his goat back. The Lions defense disappointed against the Commanders. Obviously, his biggest disappointment of the week was Brock Bowers after his 43 points last week, crashing back down to earth, 3 points. Brock Bowers got to be super frustrating to have. I know Sam, I don't think he drafted him. Did he draft him? No. Ford drafted him, but for Brock Bowers, you draft him in the 2nd round. He's been mid. He was injured. He missed a bunch of time. He comes back. You're like, yes, I finally get the Brock Bowers back, 40 points, and then he puts up 3 points with like 1 target. That is tough. Sam, left points on the bench too. That's the thing. Juwan Jennings with 17 points. That was someone that I traded him. Brian Robinson with 11. You're never going to start him. Tet over Christian Watson. I think you could have made that discussion. ESPN had him projected for higher, but it wouldn't have mattered. Still would have lost. This is a tough loss for Sam. If he wins this, he's at 4-6. He's tied with Derek. I think he might actually have more points than Derek, so he would have been back in the playoff picture. But we're at 3-7. We're in 8th place. We're right outside the playoff picture. We're right outside last place. So Steele gets a win, 151-138. Steele clinches a playoff spot and looks to have the league regular season squared away. Matchup 3, our winner of the week, Caleb, 216-118. Ford put up 118 and still almost got doubled up on. Lost by 98 points. Caleb, this is the 2nd time breaking 200, which is crazy because he has 3 wins on the season. Just absolutely insane. His points for is 2nd in the league, and yet he sits at 3-7. Who got done for him? Basically everyone, except for Gadsden. Gadsden with 4 points. Caleb with 25, Jahmyr Gibbs with 38, A-Kane with 40, Lab with 20, Troy Franklin with 15 on Thursday night, Trevion the breakout game, 28 points, Marvin Harrison Jr. with 14 points, Texans D with 16, Digger the kicker with 14. So just everyone showed up except for his tight end who left early and got hurt. So even with his 216 points, he technically left points on the bench by playing Gadsden over Kyle Pitts, which is hilarious. Ford's side of the matchup, I mean, he was, 2nd lowest scorer this week, so it wouldn't really matter. The only person he outscored was Rory. Even Derek would have beat him this week by less than 0.1, which would have been hilarious. But Drake London got it done for him, and that was about it. Wan'Dale Robinson with 12, DeAndre Swift with 14, Tyler Loop with 12, Vidal with 17, and then Sam Darnold with 4. They just didn't need him at all. Dobbins, who looks to potentially be hitting IR, so RJ Harvey does get a boost for it. There you go. But RJ Harvey and Dobbins, that stack combined for 12 points. That's not a stack. The duo combined for 12 points, and then Mark Andrews caught another touchdown for 10. So, yeah, tough one for Ford here. He left points on the bench, but, I mean, if you're going to get 216 points hung on your head, it's not going to matter. Caleb, 3-7. Ford, also 3-7. Both these teams, same record, but Caleb is 7th place with the point differential, and Ford sitting in last at 10th. Matchup 4, 147-120. Chris over Chase gets the win. Got this game wrong as well. Chase was like, hell yeah, Levin's disrespecting my team. I literally picked you to win here, dude. Like, what are you talking about? Obviously, I shouldn't have because you lost. 120 points, not going to get it done most weeks. Chris, 147. Who got it done for him? Kittle. Seahawks D with 21. Odunze, huge bounce back game with 20 points. Breece Hall with 19. Everyone else was pretty meh. Or Diggs was solid with 15, and then Jake Bates with 12. But J.J. McCarthy, what a wild quarterback to start and get a win. 14 points. Devin Singletary with 10. A.J. Brown's been really disappointing this year. With 3 points, he's sitting at the wide receiver 39. He's missed time with injury. He drafted him 3rd overall. Bucky's been missing time. We have no idea when he's going to be coming back. So, I mean, Krista's team is super banged up, but he's sitting at 6-3-1. He's in 3rd place right now. Somehow. Not really sure how, especially after he lost Kraft last week too, but he finds a way to get it done here. Chase, 120 points. Not great. He finally got some value out of Nico Collins. His best game of the season, 22 points with Davis Mills back there. Maybe we got to have the conversation about C.J. Stroud. Should it be Davis Mills times in Houston? But just real disappointing out of him and Kyron, basically. Jalen with 12, he looked horrible. Derrick Henry with 11, he didn't look great. Theo Johnson was a solid play with 14 points. Debo with 12. Devontae Smith with 16 was solid. And then Keenan, the Bills, and his kicker combined for 7 points. That's you had three players combined for 7 points. It's going to be tough to get wins if that's what your output is. Chris gets a win after his loss last week, 6-3-1, 3rd place. Chase drops 3-7, and there's got to be no one preying on his downfall more than our dear friend Ford Morrison, because Chase is in 9th place, right outside that last place position. Matchup 5, me and Derek. I get a win, 126-118. The sweep is complete. Just Derek Wild to taunt me in the group chat after GMT scores a touchdown on the first quarter of the week. Like, just a wild thing to do when the week is long, and it was Thursday night. Because he didn't do anything else after that. Bo Nix only had 5 points. And you lost. You scored 118 points. You were bottom 3 in scoring. I was bottom 5 in scoring. I got a win. Thank you, Derek. Where did I go wrong? Probably after you hit that taunt button and said something in the chat. The funniest part of the week, obviously, well, it was a couple parts, but the 3rd string Seahawks running back scoring a touchdown, and then Derek feeling the need to send his lineup in the chat. Obviously, that was why I sent that. Like, Derek, we all pay attention to the lineups that other people have. I know that is a foreign concept to you. And Jared Steele does have Jonathan Taylor, which is, we're in week 10, and you just realized that. That is just, it was a great Derek week. A lot of good quips from him this week. But yeah, he comes up with an L here. Who got it done for me? Basically, Trey McBride. That was about it. It was Trey McBride and the Seahawks kicker. 27-16. Tyler Warren was great with 17. Josh Downs pretty disappointing with 1. QJ was disappointing with 9. Dave Montgomery disappointed. Biggest disappointment of the week for sure was James Cook. Thought he was going to run all over the Dolphins defense. And then Josh Allen he's just buns. So that's tough for me for sure. But we got to win on CD's bye week. We'll take it. We're happy with it. We're 6-4. We're in 4th place. We're firmly in the playoff picture. Derek, 2-game gap now in between 5th place and that last playoff spot. Derek sitting at 4-6 currently has that last spot. And before we move on to week 11, we hear from our winner and loser of the week. First, winners get to go first. Caleb, 200 plus points. Vibe check. How we feeling?
What's up, everybody? Good to be back in the winner of the week video. 216 points, obviously. Fantastic for my guys. That was an awesome win. My only regret is that it had to come against Ford, so I probably didn't need all those points, and I would rather have saved some of those breakout performances for this down-the-stretch run. I'm a little worried that my guys have just now fired all their bullets, and we're not going to have anything left moving forward. Just water finds its level type thing. Hope I'm wrong, but we'll see. We'll see. We are now 2nd in the simulated record and 2nd in overall points behind Steele. That does us no good because we're still tied for last. But at the same time, we're only 1 game behind Derek for the last playoff spot. So it's anyone's game right now. This is about as intense of a 6th place and 10th place competition as I think we could imagine. Yeah, I mean, just got to stay locked in for the rest of the season. It's going to be a close one, man. But I'm excited for it. What more could you ask for?
Love it, Caleb. Yeah, you've dropped 200 twice this week. 66% of your wins, 200 points. Little rude on the comments there with Ford, but nothing our man can't handle. But yeah, you're absolutely correct. The way this league is taking shape right now is pretty crazy. You are tied for last place, and also one game out of the playoff picture at the same time. So these next 4 weeks are about to be awesome. It is really the league is pretty wide open. I know obviously Steele has looking like the favorite right now, but anything can happen on any given week. You just got to get in the playoff picture to have a chance. On the opposite side, Caleb on the up, Najee Nation on the down. Rory, what do you have to say?
All right, what's up, everybody? Najee Nation checking in. A dejected locker room. I can report. Last week we obviously traded away Puka, who was the heart and soul of our team. And, when the rest of the team loses a friend like that, a teammate like that, a brother like that, they're not going to perform the next week. And I should have known that. And I probably should have thrown this week too and gave them a week off. But we tried to win. And, my new guys showed up, showed out. Buka played all right. Quinshon only had 10, but he had like 25 carries, so not super concerned about him. Pittman, Sutton, Lang, essentially eggs. Each of them, I think, had 1 catch each or 2 catches each. The team's not in a good spot right now. They're a little bit low and dejected from losing Puka and also blowing 4 of the last 5 matchups. However, we're still 6-4. We're a half game back out of second. 2 games ahead of Derek, who the boys play this week. And with all due respect, this is what Najee Nation needs. A win for Najee Nation would put us back on track. We play Derek this week. We're projected to only win by 5 right now. Derek's lineup appears to be set. This is the first time I have all 3 of my players back in the lineup that I traded for Puka for, which is Quinshon, Igbuka, and Javonte Williams. A win this week and we're back. It doesn't matter how many points I score. We just need a win to get separated from 6th and pretty much lock up a playoff spot. Let's go.
Tough one for sure. I don't think that was Rory's first video of the year. We'll see if it's his last, right, guys? But that's last week. We're on to week 11. We're on to new things. We're looking ahead. And what a better place to start than Steele and Ford. Matchup 1. Steele and Ford. Steele comes in at about a 17-point favorite. Okay, so he's actually going to be more than a 17-point favorite because right now he has Alvin Kamara in, who is on bye this week. So I'm assuming he's going to plug Sean Tucker in. Yeah, he has to plug in a running back with Jonathan Taylor on bye. So I'm not really sure why he did that trade with Matt Stafford and Alvin Kamara, but he's already a 17-point favorite. He's going to be a 27-point favorite when Sean Tucker gets subbed in. Bijan, JJ, JSN, Puka, that's a pretty solid core right there. Obviously, Jake Ferguson bye last week hasn't been great the previous few weeks, but he's still the tight end 3 on the season. Maybe plugs in K. Dotton. Maybe plugs in Harold Fenton Jr. A lot of options for Steele this week. He's got the Packers defense going against the Giants. I like it. That's a good play. I am starting them in their league. I was obviously hoping that Russ was going to get the start instead of Jameis. He's probably going to throw for 300 yards, but probably throw a couple pick sixes in there. So, yeah, Steele comes in at a pretty heavy favorite. He does have Darius Slayton in going against his defense, which I always think is pretty counterintuitive when people do that. But, Steele's 9-1. He can do whatever he wants. Ford, unfortunate, honestly. Caleb 215 on his head last week. Now he's got the 9-1 first place Steele. He hasn't even played Steele yet this season. He's 3-7. So we have the first 10th place matchup here. Not something you want if you're the guy in 10th place. Ford's team, right? RJ Harvey definitely gets a bump with J.K. Dobbins going down, but Ford also had J.K. Dobbins. We'll see if he cracks the starting lineup this week. Obviously, the Chiefs have a pretty good defense, so I'm sure he's got a decision to make. Right now, he has the Browns defense in going against Baltimore. I don't know if he's going to keep that in. That would surprise me if Lamar plays. I know he didn't. I think he missed a portion of practice or something today. But yeah, he missed Wednesday's practice due to knee soreness. But he'll be okay. He'll play. So I'd be a little surprised if Ford plays the Browns defense against Lamar. But crazier things have happened. He'd also be starting him against Mark Andrews, who is his tight end. So again, a little counterintuitive there. But got Darnold against the Rams, Swift against Minnesota, Woody Marks, who looks to have taken over the backfield there. T. Higgins, Drake London, pretty solid 1-2 punch there, and then Vidal and Wendell Robinson, not as solid of a 3-4 punch there. You guys know I'm going to pick Steele. I got to talk about all the matchups, but, crazier things technically have happened. I think these teams could play 100 times and Ford will win 2 times. I don't see it being one of those 2 times this week. Matchup 2, we got 5th, 6th place matchup. 6 and 4 Rory, 4 and 6 Derek. So 2-game gap like we talked about. Rory talked about a little bit. Yes, this is a massive game for everyone in the league except for Steele, basically. Rory's 6 and 4 in 5th place. I'm also 6 and 4, 2 6 3 and 1 teams. Derek at 4 and 6, right now in 6th place, still in the playoff picture, but also only a game out of last place. So this is a massive matchup for basically everyone except for Steele. These 2 teams have played previously. They played week 2 where Najee Nation won by a score of 100-91. So it was a stinker previously. I'm sure we're in for a stinker again here. Yeah. I'm looking at Rory's bench. He's got a couple banged up guys. Pittman's on bye this week. Keyshawn Boutte was ruled out already. Kincaid's probably not going to play this week. So he's a little banged up. He got Dalton Schultz off waivers. That's probably a good play. He was very good last week. I think he scored almost 20 points. Courtland Sutton, Javonte, he gets him back from bye. Saquon, Quinshon, Zay Flowers, Josh Allen. He's going with Fairbairn. He missed last week because of an injury. The Texans didn't kick it all in his interim, so he didn't really miss anything. But this is Rory's first week having all of the guys he traded for with Quinshon and Booker and who's the other one? And Javonte, because they had buys the previous week. So it's the first time he's actually getting the full Puka trade. But he definitely is going to miss Pittman this week for sure. On Derek's side of the matchup, I don't know if he set his lineup, honestly. Honestly, I never know with him. I don't think he has. He has Khalil Shakir on the bench. Kenneth Walker still in. Derek keeps sending me trade offers for Kenneth Walker and Jameson Williams, and I want neither of those players. So, Derek, I don't know if you watch these videos. You can stop sending me trades that involve me acquiring Kenneth Walker and Jameson Williams because I don't want either of them. Genty has a great matchup this week going up against the Cowboys. Chase Brown, he's been pretty good the second half of the season. George Pickens, he's been solid. Bo Nix is obviously atrocious, but maybe Derek picks a QB up. We'll see. Probably not. I don't think Derek knows how to make a waiver claim. Yeah, Ravens D against Cleveland. That's actually a good play, Derek. I like that. But Rory comes in about a 7-point favorite here. Both these teams have been reeling. I don't think either of these teams really should be in the playoffs at this point, but they both are. Their records have them both in the offs right now. I think this is going to be the lowest scoring game of the week, aggregate combined. I think it's going to be the lowest scoring. And Rory was up my butt last week telling me I've been mean to him. I need to pick him, and I freaking picked him last week, and he was a loser of the week. But we're going to go back to him here. We're going to try and instill some confidence in the man. He hit 5 threes in our men's league game Monday, so maybe that confidence rolls over to this week for fantasy. We'll see, right? But yeah, I think Najee Nation, he could separate a pretty big gap, basically solidify a playoff spot for him if he can go to 7-4 with the next closest being 4-7. So I think Najee Nation's going to take this one. Matchup 3, we got Ben and Chase. Ben comes in at a 13-point favorite, 146-133. Everyone except for Steele and Ford have played each other previously, so these two guys played week 3. Ben won by a score of 162-146. He comes in a favorite again here. Ben's in second place right now, 6-3-1. Chase 3-7, trying to avoid that last place. And Ben has the check mark box next to basically every position except for the QB and the kicker right now. Josh Jacobs has been awesome. Etienne's been super solid for you. He's been drafted. Amon-Ra has obviously been great. Waddle's been super solid. Goddard's been okay, right? He's averaging 11 points, but the Eagles' offense as a whole looks pretty bad. Romeo Dubes, he'll be fine. I know he's banged up. He's going to play. Rashad White. I'm not sure if Ben gets another week of Rashad White, honestly, because Bucky was a limited practice today. I know they said he got to be a full practice before he's going to play. If I had to bet, I would say Bucky probably misses this week and is back next week. That would be good for Ben, bad for Chris. Patriots defense against the Jets, love it. Cairo Santos, the Bears kicker. The Bears offense has been, high-powered, so I like it. He's out Garrett Wilson. He's out Chris Olave. He's out Jawan Johnson. Chuba, obviously, is not the lead back in Carolina anymore. So Ben's team, looking solid. 146 points. That's good for one of the higher projections for the week. Where'd that matchup go? Chase's side of the matchup, just a lot of guys who are mid, honestly. A lot of guys who have some big name value, and pun intended with Debo because he's super fat. But, again, I said it when he drafted. This would be a really good team if it was 4 years ago. Derrick Henry, Keenan Allen, Deebo Samuel, like Nico Collins was really good a few years ago too. Just unfortunate. DK is hitting the bench this week. That honestly surprises me a little bit because if there was ever a week to play DK, it was against Cincinnati, who has the worst defense in the NFL, but he's got Keenan Allen slotted in over him. I bet he tinkers with this a little bit. He picked up Theo Johnson off the waivers. He's been pretty solid with Jackson Dart at the helm, but Jackson Dart's not going to be the helm this week. It's going to be Jameis Winston. So obviously Jameis likes to yuck it. We'll see how that goes. But Falcons defense against Carolina, I like that play, Chase. I did make that exact same play earlier this year, and that was the game that the Falcons lost 30-0 to the Panthers. So hopefully it's not a repeat of that. And then Pinheiro, again, can't get a read on that kicker. It's 18-11, 1, 12-2. So he's either getting double digits or he's getting single digits. Like those really the options for anything, but especially with that kicking position. Massive matchup, obviously, right? For Chase especially. If he loses, I'm assuming Ford's going to lose. He'll still be in that last place conversation with Ford at 3-8. He can get a win if with Ford playing Steele this week. Get a game up plus the point differential. Like that'd be pretty massive for him going in the last 3 weeks of the year. I do not think he's going to win this week. I think Ben's going to take this one. And you know what, Chase? I hope you look at this and you go, hell yeah, Levin's disrespecting my squad. I'm going to win now. I've been disrespecting your squad all year, and you've won 3 games. So I'm not sure how well that theory works for you. I think Ben takes this one here. Matchup 4, we got Caleb and Chris. Caleb 3-7, Chris 6-3-1, 7th and 3rd place. Caleb, he already talked about it, mentioned a little bit. Right now, 3-7, tied for last place. But if he gets a win, Derek gets a loss. He jumps into that 6th place out of playoff because of the point differential, or the points for. He's 2nd in the league for points for. His team's super hot. He just needs to get in the dance, right? That's all he needs. I was looking at it. I don't understand why they were projected for about the same because Caleb's normally had high projections. He does have MHJ still in the lineup. I don't think Caleb's allowed to be on his phone at all during the workday, and he probably didn't see that he had appendectomy. His appendix was removed, so that's tough. You're not going to be able to get hit by a DB with coming off an appendix removal. So he'll plug him out. He's got some options on the bench. He's got Gadsden. He's got Hunter Henry against the Jets on Thursday Night Football. So he's got to make a decision if he wants to plug one of those guys in. He has some receiver options too with DJ Moore, Cooper Kupp, and Trey Tucker. I'm not saying they're good options, but they are options. And then Brandon Ayuk is still on his team. I don't know if he's ever going to play football again, honestly. But I'm very concerned because I'm playing AK in another league. He's projected for 27.9 points against the Commies this week. That's going to be dangerous. He might hit 35 this week. That's going to be wild. Trevion, forced to be started again because Ramondre's out with turf toe once again. That's the Thursday Night Football game. We get to watch my Patriots on primetime. Mahomes against Denver. So he gets Mahomes back off his bye from last week. Maybe I'm assuming he's going to plug him in because Mahomes has been money, but the Denver defense is pretty good. Texans defense against Tennessee. I think that's a great play this week. I know Caleb, I think, has just been holding them the whole season, but that is probably the number one defense to have this week with how good that defense is and honestly how bad their offense is. On Chris's side of the matchup, I'm not 100% sure if he set his lineup. I think he has set his lineup because he's got Tajay Spears in over Devin Singletary. I am a little surprised to see him starting the Seahawks defense going up against the Rams this week. I know they're the defense won on the year, but Matt Stafford over his past 3 weeks has thrown 4 touchdowns each week and 0 picks each week. So their offense is clicking on all cylinders right now. Hopefully that game in the 4 o'clock slate is pretty solid. Obviously, Kittle looked real good last week. Odunze with a big bounce-back game. He gets Jamar back from bye. He's going with J.J. McCarthy. That's probably not a QB you want to be starting in this day and age, but it is what it is. He's got Breece Hall against my Patriots run defense, which has been very good. So Chris really needs Bucky back. I'll say it. Like he needs to get Bucky back. Ramondre's missing another week. That impacts this matchup a lot. Caleb gets to start Travion. Ramondre misses time. That's tough for sure. Maybe he plugs in Dak for JJ. Obviously, JJ looked... I don't know if you guys actually watched the game. He finished with 14 last week. He looked really bad. Yeah. And I know Steele definitely watched, and he's like, he's bad. A.J. Brown explicitly said not to start him. He said to trade him away, too. So that's it. The vibes are not good in Chris's locker room right now for his players. You know what I mean? All this being said, I think Caleb takes this one. And I think Caleb takes this one. I think Derek's going to lose. I think by this time next week, Caleb's going to be back in the playoff. Not even back. Caleb will be in the playoff picture for the first time all season. Matchup 5, our final matchup. Victoria's Secret and Victoria's Search Secret. Me and Sam. Right now, I'm about a 7-point favorite. That is going to change because Sam has Jackson Dart in his lineup still, who is probably not going to play this week with a concussion. He also has Young Hui Koo, who does have points now, so I guess Graham Gano is probably going to miss another week. But he's back on their practice squad, so I'm not sure, honestly. And Rory complained to me earlier about roster limits, all that fun stuff. I tried to play some defense. Who says you can't play defense in fantasy football? We picked up Aaron Rodgers and Jacoby Brissett off the waivers. We were going to pick up more QBs, but we're limited to 4 QBs on the roster. So, unfortunate for me, I can only grab 4. Sam's got to hit the waivers to grab a QB. Should Jackson Dart miss some time. Obviously, I think if you saw Sam's text message earlier, that was him seeing my new team name for being the more victorious secret. And judging by our records, that will be the case this year, especially because I beat him week 2, 176 to 132. Sam's side of the matchup, honestly, the trade that we made, not looking great for this specific week when I gave him Juwan Jennings and Rico Dowdle for Tyler Warren, because Tyler Warren is on bye this week. And Rico Dowdle obviously is the RB1 in Carolina, which I don't think anyone saw coming when they said that CD was going to, or not CD, when Chuba was going to retain his RB1 role. So egg on my face there for sure. I'm a little worried about Brock Bowers on Monday night against the Cowboys because their defense is atrocious. He might go off for 40 after that 3-point performance last week. CMC's been great all year. I'm very worried about that matchup too. Devontae Adams, if I got to play him, I'm happy I get him against Seattle because Seattle's defense has been really good. Tet against Atlanta is fine, whatever. Juwan, little revenge game action against his previous manager who let him go because he was so injury prone. He was playing with 5 broken ribs. And obviously Young Hui. What else can you say about that? Chargers D is probably a decent play this week as well. On my side of the matchup, 144 points projection. There's a couple guys that haven't set their lineup yet, but that is, I think, going to end up being top 5 projection. We do have Tyler Warren on bye this week. Josh Downs on bye as well. He's been my wide receiver 2 for a little bit for the season. We're going to tinker with the lineup a little bit. Right now, we got Chris Rodriguez, rumored to be the RB1 in Washington. Bill has just not been good. He's not been it. Maybe we plug Malik Washington in, but we will have a player from that game involved in the 931 because both those defenses are horrible. Drake May, currently the fantasy QB1 for those keeping track, averaging 20 points a game. Definitely because he hasn't had his bye yet. That is a factor for sure. James Cook, bounce back game against Tampa Bay. We got CD on Monday night. We got QJ. We got Trey McBride, the only pass catcher left in Arizona. Montgomery, we're not super pumped about, but he's in the lineup. And then Jalen Warren. We love Jalen Warren. Bears D and Jason Myers rounding us out. We're taking me here. We want to get a sweep on Sam. We're getting under his skin with the team name. The vibes are good in the locker room. We made some moves this week. We're playing some defense. Who says you can't play defense in fantasy football? Not me. We got a good defensive coordinator in the locker room in the front office to help out. And that about wraps me this week. Thank you all for watching as always. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate the chat. Appreciate the friendship. Appreciate the men's league teammates. If anyone wants to talk shop, wants to talk trade, let a brother know. Unless you're Derek trying to give me one of the running backs I don't want. But other than that, have a great week, everyone. Go Pats.